Gary, cold open question.
Yes, sir.
If you could join any past or current music group, which would it be?
Ooh. So, what am I doing in this group? Am I singing?
Whatever you want to do.
Playing an instrument, or okay. So, if I could just join a group, oh man, there's so many of them. I like Mumford and Sons. I would like to join that group. That'd be fun.
Is that just because of the way they dress?
I didn't even think of that, but yeah, that's a good one.
So what would you?
I just like the folky type music they play. So, man, I would. You know what? I would. I mean, I always wanted to try to learn the bass, but it'd be fun to to maybe do a little of the banjo.
Mm-hmm. I actually heard it wasn't a Mumford and Sons song, but is it Mark Mumford or Marcus Mumford?
Marcus Mumford, yes. He's doing a solo right now.
I heard his song called Grace on Marywood's college radio station, and I actually really liked it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's I guess he's doing like a little solo thing right now. So that's his first song.
And when you come up next month, I have a bass. I have a guitar. I have 2 ukuleles, so we can
do a little
jam session.
Jam session.
Yeah,
that sounds like fun. I can. Yeah.
If I had to join a group, I think I would maybe join Sugar Ray.
Sugar Ray, that's a good one. Yeah, I like that.
I like their music.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. Welcome to another episode of the Brian Lennon Show podcast. Tonight, we'll talk about the possibility of civil war, Gary's weekend at EPCOT, questions about Tom Brady, and I'll ask Gary some intimate questions. All tonight on the Brian Lennon Show podcast on Substack.
Yeah.
All right.
Bring it down.
Way to bring it down. Band leader Gary McDaniel over there. Nice job with the band there, Gary. I think the live audience enjoys it as well.
Thank you. Hold on. Let me. Live audience. How
about that band?
What do you think, guys? What do you think?
Yes, they like it. All right. Yeah. So we're joined tonight by a live studio audience. So Gary, I want to just go over. I want to because we've been so busy lately. We haven't had many episodes where it's just me and you.
Correct. Yeah.
So I just want to go over some things, some housekeeping stuff for the podcast and the Substack channel. So about an hour ago, I published part 4 of my gratitude journal.
Okay.
So my promise is to do 10 weeks of gratitude where I am thankful for 5 things every week. So this was part 4.
Okay.
So that's available on TheBrianLennonShow.substack.com. Again, if you are listening to the show, please go to the website, TheBrianLennonShow.substack.com. Check it out. Subscribe. Please subscribe. It's free. There's no charge. And you will get updates in your email anytime I publish something, anytime one of our podcasts comes live, which is typically on Wednesday mornings. We record Tuesdays. Mm-hmm. We also have a YouTube page, which you can subscribe to.
Yes.
And then our podcast is also available on Spotify.
That is correct.
So, Gary, do you think most people listen to the podcast, or do you think they're interested in watching it?
It
seems like most of them are listening to it.
Well, you know what? I think it's easier to listen to it because I mean you're on the go a lot of times. You pop it on your phone. You could just go that way. But to watch it's a little bit more difficult. Like you have to actually be sitting around maybe and just like flip it through YouTube or something. I mean, I know my kid sits there on YouTube all day, watches it. So I mean, there could be people that maybe just sit around at night and
yeah.
we'll
I listen. There's podcasts I listen to like religiously, and I always listen to them because it's in the car on the way to and from work.
Mm-hmm.
Picking people up, whatever. But some of them I like to watch too.
There's certain one like
I wish some of these I could watch, but they don't have an actual video feed.
Yeah. See now, like who is it? I don't know. They always post it on like either on Twitter or like I don't think it's on Facebook, Twitter most of the time, but it's with Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura. It's Two Bears, One Cave or something like that. But it's seeing the two of them sitting there talking to one another, and then when Kreischer just loses it and he's just like he's laughing, and then Segura just can't even take it. Like he's just like, and then they're both of them are just sitting there crying. It's just fun to watch their emotion. Like you could hear it, but it's funnier when you actually could see it. So
yes, I agree. All right, so I just wanted to take care of some of that
yes,
housekeeping stuff to try and build our following on Substack. All right, so Gary, you celebrated. We decided it was 18 years of marriage.
18, correct.
This past weekend, you took your lovely bride to EPCOT Center.
We did. Yep. We went over.
Is it called EPCOT Center or it's just EPCOT, right?
It's just EPCOT now. Yeah.
And what does EPCOT stand for?
I really don't know.
Something of tomorrow, right?
Let's see. EPCOT. What does it stand for? EPCOT stands for
something community of tomorrow, I think.
EPCOT. Why? Oh, here we go. What does why doesn't it just say it? Just usually pops right up on the top of the thing, but no, it's gotta be. Oh, okay. Experimental prototype community of tomorrow.
There we go. Experimental.
Yes, experimental.
What was the P?
Experimental.
You forgot it already. Progressive?
What does EPCOT stand for? Was it progressive or was it
you realize someone who's listening to this knows what it like they heard it the first time and understood it?
Mm-hmm. Prototype.
And they're yelling at their radio right now. Prototype. Experimental prototype community
of tomorrow.
And you went to a wine tasting there, right?
So it's their food and wine festival that they have every year. It usually runs like August to November, something like that.
And that's around the different countries, right?
So yeah,
mainly, or
majority of it's around the country, and then there's like right before you get into the countries, they'll have a bunch of rents, like different types of other kiosks out. So like they had one, it was called Mac and Eats, where it was different types of mac and cheese. They had one, it was fry flights, and it was literally 3 different types of French fries. They had one, it was something about fire or whatever it was, and it had like different types of like barbecue type things. Then they have like inside the one, they have a brews and wings. So they have a couple different types of chicken wings, and then different breweries from around Florida. And they have like some flights for that, and some ciders. But then then in the countries, you have your normal countries that are always there, but then they throw in extra kiosks. So like there's a kiosk for Hawaii, Australia. There's one for what's it called? Oh, Brazil, Belgium. So ones that are normally not, like, they don't have the countries there, they put these little kiosks in. And then it's just samples of food. There's usually 3 different types of food you could get, and then there's like maybe some places have just wine. Some have like wine and beer. Some will have like a mixed drink of some sort that you can get, and it's like all from their different countries. So, and then they give you like these little books. It's a little passport book, and when you go around, like you could mark
What
off
countries you've been
what you
to.
tried and things like that, and then you could see what they have, so you can go, okay, I want to go to this one next, and I want to go to that one, and so.
So, what was the best food that you tasted?
Oh man,
Any highlights food wise?
man, we tried a lot. I mean, Germany's always good. They always have the brat on a pretzel bun and the mustard. That's always good. We did. There was. Oh man, what was it?
Now in German, do they have the women in the? They have the women in like the dresses, like those German,
It's
or not?
It's the Disney uniform, and it's kind of, made up to look like. But most of the people that work there are from those countries. Like,
That's true.
they specifically bring them over to work for like they do like it's like an internship type thing, I think, and then they bring like the people from these different countries to work in all of the different lands that they have. So
Now, Gary, would you like to work in a like an American restaurant in, say, Turkey?
probably not. No. I don't think I want to work at any Americanized restaurant in any other country, because they're not big fans of us. So,
Okay.
yeah, no. But
All right. So Germany was the highlight food wise.
well, Germany was good.
Brought a pretzel with mustard.
We did have I think it was was it Brazil or so? Well, I can't remember, but there was it was a curry beef dish that was really good. There was a noodle stand that they had, and it was a Thai like shrimp noodle dish, almost like a real ramen dish. So, but that was good. Had a nice little spice to it.
Do you like ramen?
I do. Mm-hmm. Besides the cheapy.
Yeah, I'm talking like go to a restaurant and have ramen.
Yes, I've had it at PF Chang's down here. So I've had there.
Is that really ramen?
Well, it's chained. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
the first Friday of 2020, I took Ruby because Ruby loved ramen.
Okay.
There's a restaurant downtown in Scranton called Peculiar. I'm not gonna be able to say this.
Mm-hmm.
Peculiar Slurp.
Okay.
And I brought her there, and I don't even think I got ramen. I got something else that they had there. I'm not a big ramen fan.
Okay.
She had the ramen. She wasn't into the vibe. It was like just me and her. It was just like, father-daughter night out. She got like sick.
Oh.
She didn't eat ramen she didn't even eat like the cheap ramen for like 9 months, 10 months.
Goodness.
And so anytime I think of ramen, I think of that was like the first Friday of 2020. And then of course, Kobe Bryant died, and then, you heard about the virus, and then the lockdown. So any type of reference to ramen just is not popular with her or I.
And then we've well, of course, in America, we stopped there. Their carrot cake, that was really good. And then one of the best drinks we had was a flight of mimosas, and it was called Sparkling Sips or whatever was the stand.
From where? What country?
It was just a random one of the other kiosks that they have that they just put up.
Have you ever had apple cider with champagne?
I don't think so.
So what were in these mimosas that you were?
So the first one we had was a tropical mimosa. So it was like the champagne, and it was like some sort of tropical juice. And then there was a key lime that was really good.
You like key lime?
Yeah, and then the last one was a blood orange one. The blood orange one just basically tasted like a regular. It was just like an
mimosa.
orange juice mimosa. So, but they were really good. We stopped there a couple times.
Now, did you go multiple days? So you were there, what, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
So yeah,
Saturday, Sunday?
Friday we got there. Friday we got there kind of a little late, so we just went down to Disney Springs so that way her mother could pick up her ticket. And so we just
So who went? Was it just you and Shannon, or did you bring the boy?
Yeah, Colin and my mother-in-law came, Patty, so they came over. Happy birthday, by the way. So they came over with us. So they came to Epcot with us for a little bit, and then the two of them got on the monorail and went over to Magic Kingdom, and me and her just did Epcot pretty much all day Saturday. And then Sunday when we got up, we went back to Epcot. We hit a couple of little stands because he wanted to eat some more of that mac and cheese and eat a couple other things. And then we ended up going over to Hollywood Studios for a little bit. They rode a couple rides, and then me and her just went and had a couple drinks, and then we went and bought more lightsabers. And then we went back to Epcot, finished up the night there, and that was pretty much it. That was our weekend.
And so on Saturday when you're at Epcot for the whole day,
mm-hmm.
are you just eating and eating and eating,
yeah.
and drinking and drinking and drinking?
I mean,
like how many calories are you taking in?
I don't know, because they're like
5,000.
No, probably not. Because like they're literally little tiny. It's like when we went to when you went to China and they got the dumplings, it's 2 little dumplings in a thing. The brat was this little tiny. The brat actually looked like it was like as long as a hot dog, but it was as skinny as like getting a sausage link, and it was just on a small little pretzel roll. They're basically just samples of food, so you're not getting like full plate.
So it's basically like a dolled up Sam's Club run.
Basically, yes.
Okay.
And then even the drinks too. Like if you got the beer, you could either get I think it was a 6-ounce or a 12-ounce beer.
Okay.
So, and then like the flight.
It's really a sample and kind of taste a little bit of everything.
That's basically all it is. So
that's good.
It's expensive, but
any beers stick out other than the mimosas?
Not really. There was actually a few places that we went. I've already had some of the beer because like a lot, like the one brewery that's right here by 81st Bay, I believe it's called. It's right over in Tampa. A bunch of their beer was featured all around. But yeah, no, like I said, I had most of them last year. Like they have the same kind of stuff. Like India only has the one beer. Same thing when you go into like Ireland and like England there, it's like kind of the same stuff all the time. So yeah, none of the real beers stand out. Just those mimosas were really good. And then of course France. We always have to go to France, and we get it's a passion fruit slushy martini. Those things are just ridiculously good. So
okay.
But yeah, other than that was yeah.
Now, do you have any fall mixed drink cocktails you could recommend?
You know what?
I'm having some people over this weekend.
Shannon just where'd she send it to me? I can't remember if it was on Twitter or if it was on TikTok or if it was. I'll have to look, but their one sounded really good. It was like it was with apple juice and hold on, I gotta look now. I think it was like it had apple juice, it had vodka, and it was something else in it too. And here we go. So it was Fireball and
I think
Fireball, apple cider, and I believe it was a vanilla vodka, and then it was a dash. And peanut butter whiskey.
I think I saw this one too.
and it was supposed to taste like a caramel apple with nuts on it. So the lady was doing it on one side and the guy was making one on his side, and so that was one that I'm thinking about trying.
Can you forward that recipe to me?
Do you have TikTok?
No.
Here, I wonder if I could.
You don't have to do it right now. Well, just before Friday or something. So
yeah, I'll see what I can. I'll see what I can do. If not, I'll just text it to you and text you what's the ingredients. But yeah, that's one I want to try. Other than that, I mean, like I said, the one I normally drink, but that's usually around. Well, I will start it around Thanksgiving and around Christmas. But it's Christmas Mule. But I mean, like I said, I started around Thanksgiving, and it's vodka, cranberry juice, ginger beer, and a squeeze of lime and some whole cranberries in it. That's always a good one.
I think I would like that. I come winter, I make Brandy Alexander's. And last year, I think the last 2 years, we've had like people over around Christmas time, and I make that, and like I can't make them fast enough. People are drinking them like. It's like, people slow down. Anyway, so I was looking for a fall themed kind of cocktail to make.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send you because I mean I want to try that one. So.
And I was thinking of bringing caramel because I like vodka. And I was thinking caramel too, and caramel with an apple makes sense. But
so that one looks like it was. Yeah, it looked like she was mixing Fireball and caramel vodka with then apple cider, and then she used a small little like half of those little tiny airplane bottles of the peanut butter whiskey. But I mean, you could probably skip that all together if you don't like the peanut butter nutty taste. You could probably just do the Fireball, the caramel vodka, and the apple cider.
That was another question I had for you because I know you've take it. You drink bourbon.
I do.
How does bourbon compare to whiskey, like taste wise? Is it like a milder, smoother whiskey?
No,
no.
I prefer whiskey. Oh crap! All right, hold on. Let me know.
No, I'm good. I'm back.
Okay.
You froze up. You're like.
I prefer whiskey. Like
I know you prefer, but is bourbon a smoother?
I don't
form of whiskey.
I don't think so. It has a different taste. Depends on which bourbons you drink. I mean, if you're drinking a really high end, then it might not be. But
like whiskey, I don't like whiskey, and I've tried it, and I don't like it. Well, I'm wondering if bourbon is like a step down, and not as harsh.
No, I think it's opposite. I think bourbon's harsher than regular whiskey. Well, we'll try some in a couple of weeks when I'm up there. We'll get a bottle of. I'll see if I can go to the liquor store and see if I can find a good one that we usually drink, and then we'll have it during our live show together on that Tuesday.
All right, that might be like a 3-hour one.
Probably, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
We got a bottle of bourbon we got to drink, so.
About that. All right, Gary. One of the topics I wanted to bring up tonight were
yes.
It's what ifs.
Okay.
And it's kind of a theme or a trope or this like mechanism that a lot of people are using in the media or social media. One of the biggest ones is Stephen A. Smith from ESPN. And I guess he said something over the weekend about Tom Brady from this past weekend.
Okay.
And I guess, did you see the Buccaneers game? Although I don't know, you were not home, so you were at.
No, I was actually. I took me forever to find a live broadcast of the New England game, so I was listening to the New England game. But I mean, I seen that, yeah, the Bucks were getting beat up on by the.
So did you see the tirade that Brady went on the sideline?
Yes, some I don't know if it was on Facebook or Twitter. One of them I seen or whatever, where like, yeah, they see them like yelling at the lineman or something like that.
Yeah, and he's had multiple episodes where he like destroys a.
Oh yes, those air tablets or whatever.
The tablets.
Ones that they use. What are they, Microsoft or something like that? Tablets, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he did that a couple of times in New England.
Yeah, so Stephen A. Smith, I guess, over the either Monday or Tuesday, maybe today, said that if Tom Brady was black, he wouldn't get the pass from the media that he does for the way he acts on the sideline and toward, his teammates.
I don't. I mean, he gets criticized, just like everybody else does. For some reason, I feel like more because he's such a high profile.
Well, there was also a story this week that I guess he didn't travel with the team to Pittsburgh because he was attending Robert Kraft's wedding.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And so, like, personally, my feeling is like, why are you at a wedding Saturday night when you should be, at the team hotel going over the game plan, preparing for the game. And then you're going to come out Sunday and
look like
chide and rip the lineman a new one.
Yeah, he's Tom Brady.
But I know he is legendary. He is the GOAT. So he probably gets a pass for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's reflecting well on him.
No. Everything that's going on right now is like, I mean, he should have just bowed out. He got that. He came to Tampa. He won that ring. So he could say, hey, I won Super Bowls with 2 teams. That's it. I got 7. I'm done. But yeah, I don't know why all of a sudden, like he wants to come back. He hasn't been playing all that well. Now this divorce is looming on him here, and now
big distraction
and everything else. So it's like, I don't. It's like right now he's tarnishing what he's done for the last 20 some years by just like coming out now and just doing like all the stuff he's been doing, and I don't. But I mean, like he's Tom Brady right now. He's done 20 some years. He's done everything. He's like at the top of his game. He was at the top of his game, and he's just now it's just like, whatever. I can do whatever I want. But I mean, you can't be like that when you're trying to win games, especially against a Pittsburgh team that's just.
They should have won. They should have. Yeah, Pittsburgh's not been good this year. To lose that game is that's gonna be something that comes back to haunt them.
Yep.
The end of December.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was trying to think of like other stars or players who've acted like Tom Brady has over this last season.
Mm-hmm.
And Kobe Bryant was kind of famous for being an a-hole to teammates.
Yep.
I don't think he got beat up for it terribly. It was just people kind of accepted that was Kobe being Kobe.
Yeah.
And even Michael Jordan was very, the same as far as, picking on players in practice, challenging them to that. So, So I kind of understand, but I don't agree with the way Tom Brady does act. I think the destruction of property is not a good reflection.
Yeah, no. I mean,
and chewing out your lineman when you're at a wedding late Saturday and fly in Sunday morning, doesn't.
It's different. Yeah, it's different if I've seen him chew out players before with good, reason. But this time, no. This time it was, you're sloppy because you were out. You shouldn't have been. You should have been with the team. I mean, I would have been pissed if if he was still in New England, he was doing that crap. Because I mean, yeah, you can't be doing that.
All right. So another thing I've always said, because as you know, my wife is a nurse.
Yep.
And especially when she was working in the hospital, as far as like how nurses are treated with, their schedule, they don't get a lunch break, all this and that. And while she was working at the hospital, they instituted or brought a union in to represent the nurses.
Okay.
And I always told her, because especially in Scranton, the fire department and the police department are unionized.
Okay.
But, and I know there's women on the police force and in the fire department now, but traditionally they were probably 100% male. And thus that's probably why they had the union and all that stuff. And I always told my wife, if nurses were majority of male, employees, there would be nurses unions and they would be the best.
Yep.
I mean, because she literally like delivered babies, saved lives every time she went to work. And I know other people who like have friends who are firefighters in New Jersey who have never even sniffed a fire in 20 years and they're retiring with, a 6-figure pension and stuff. And that's not to knock unions or firefighters or policemen, what they do. Not a lot of us are willing to do that or could do that. So, but I do think that it's another of that. Like, well, what if the majority of nurses were men? They would probably have better working conditions and higher pay and better pensions.
Well, yeah, that's just the way this country was built. It was all man. So was it. So yeah. I mean,
so I was listening to another podcast this week, and they were talking. They came up. The abortion issue came up, and actually last night, Jill and I were discussing political issues and all that. And I said to her, she goes, "Do you think men could have babies?" I said, "If men had babies, paternity leave would be 12 months." And it would.
That's true.
You know damn well it would be. If men had babies, like what if men had babies, paternity leave would be 12 months. Maybe longer.
Yeah.
All right. And then there was a comedian on, and she was saying that, if men had babies, abortions would be available like at the yogurt stand.
Okay.
Like be able to just get one anywhere. Like but it's I think people in the media, the mass media, they use these what ifs to get a point across, which doesn't really translate. And it's just, I think it's a cheap way to make an argument.
Yes. Yeah. They just like to blow. I mean, they like to take a story and just make it so irrational sometimes that you're like, oh, I believe. Oh, yeah, I could see that. And then that's the problem is you've got some of these small-minded people out there that believe anything that these people say, and it's so bad. It's so bad. I'm like, it irks me. I just get so yoked up on all this stuff.
Because you can turn anything, any innocent thing into a story.
Oh yeah,
by adding a what if.
Yep.
And that is what Stephen A. Smith lives on. I mean, he's made millions of dollars doing that. A lot of it is playing the race card, if you want to call it that. Well, what if Tom Brady was black? Would he be portrayed as the angry black man?
Yeah.
Would he be given a pass by the way, his behavior was on the sideline Sunday?
I mean, look. I mean, right now what was it? The guy from Carolina. What was it Robbie Anderson?
Right.
He had a big thing and he got thrown out of the game and all that. I guess just seen it. I think he just got traded to the Cardinals or whatever or Monday or something like that. So
yeah, he got traded already.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't. Sports to me is a little different because it's the big name stars are the ones that you're going to see more out on the media than you are going to see some of these other players. I mean, how many times have you seen linemen or whatever, especially offensive linemen, being talked about for certain things? I mean, some of the people don't even know who those guys are. They don't even know their names.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's all these big name players that, I mean, that's what AB, his constant kookiness all of a sudden now. I mean,
well,
but
what if Antonio Brown was white? Do you think he'd still be playing?
Probably not. No, I don't think so. Not the way he was acting, and well, that his playing abilities started to dwindle a little bit. He wasn't as good as he used to be. But I don't know. I just like it's for some reason, like to me, sports like it's just, if you're a high profile sports player, you're going to get looked at differently, no matter what color you are.
And I think with sports, I mean, it doesn't matter what color you are or anything. It's whether you're going to produce on the field, the court, you know.
Yeah. Of course.
That's what they're looking for.
Yeah. So. Oh yeah. They want a story. If you're acting like a fool, they're gonna, especially if you're a high profile, they're gonna see it, and then that's it. Boom.
Right, and that's the media's job now. Is they're vultures just waiting for you to take. So one of the things that actually triggered this conversation between me and Jill was the comment Troy Aikman made last Monday night. It was a roughing penalty, I think, against Tom Brady, or was it against?
It was a roughing. It was Mahomes. It was the one because they played Monday night.
Yeah, so Mahomes there was a roughing the passer call against him. It was the day after the one on Tom Brady when he got sacked. They gave him a 15-yard penalty. And Troy Aikman said, the NFL has to take the skirts off these guys, and people on Twitter, the what ifs people,
of course,
came out and, called Troy Aikman a misogynist, a Neanderthal, whatever it is. And it's like,
yeah, no,
he came and backtracked.
Of course, because that's the thing is and that's what happens is as soon as you get called out on something, then you got to go and start apologizing for saying certain things. But I mean, oh, sorry. Let me know when you can hear me. I'll just keep talking. But the thing is, they start like they say something, and it, you're in the middle of the game. You're trying to make it interesting for the listeners of the game, So he says something simple like that, but to us, to me, I was like, I'd be like, hell yeah, they do, because it's starting to get really, it's starting to get so soft, and you can't even touch it's going to be like, you can only you can't even sack a quarterback anymore. You're just gonna be able to put two hands on him, and that's it. I mean, it's getting soft. So to me, I would have never even thought of anything. But yes, there are those small groups of people out there that, they hear one little thing and then they lose their mind, and then that person's now got to come and apologize, and it's getting ridiculous. I just can't take it. I wouldn't, if I was a comment, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd have to quit, because I'm like, I know I would say something. I would say something like that or similar to it, and then be called on it. But and then I'd be like, I'm not apologizing. I just quit. I'm done.
Yeah.
Because I can't.
So then we were talking about, and you know, I don't know. You and I are, I mean, we're contemporaries. We grew up in the same culture. All right. We have the same culture, Gary, me and you.
I know.
All right. So that comment didn't offend me.
No.
I agreed with it, just like you basically said. Like, they've gone above and beyond protecting the quarterbacks, where they're, you know, flagging penalties that aren't even there. And then I like, so if you're gonna say, you know, oh, put a skirt on or take the skirt off, these guys, and get offended by that, and I kind of. So what I said, so I said to Jill, so if a woman at work asks me, can you lift that box? And I tell her, will you lift it yourself? Then, because I think we get, if we're gonna believe that everyone and everybody is equal, truly equal, including men and women, that's where we get into this nonsense. Whereas then, like, well, what if you know, a woman asks me to lift something for them? Is that a sexist remark because she thinks I'm stronger than him or her, or like all I'm there for is to, you know, lift heavy things or whatever?
I'm just the muscle.
Yeah. So that didn't go well with Jill. But I think that's the danger of this, like, oversensitivity to words and trying to, you know, make things equal that aren't. And, you know, I think it was really a innocuous comment by Troy Aikman. I don't think there was any maliciousness toward women.
Yeah, no.
You know,
he was just basically, I mean, he was just trying to say that he was trying to say the game has gotten soft, and it was just, you know, we gotta. I mean, I've heard that before. I mean, I've heard that multiple times, like used for other things. You know, need to take.
I mean, I've played football and had coaches call us girls.
Oh yeah.
In a derogatory, you know, sense.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, when I don't know if I do or not, or did, but yeah, I don't know. I just think it's very dangerous.
This whole, everything gets blown out of proportion anymore. I mean, he didn't say, you know, I mean, like, he wasn't saying like, well, we guys are playing like girls. He had nothing out of his mouth was like in that range. So, but you got those people that, they just like, so we have, for my school, they just sent out it's a disciplinary handbook. So we were supposed to go through it and look at the stuff. And one of the teachers pointed out in one section where they were showing where like the point sections are coming down, they were abbreviating things. So it looked like they were abbreviating tardy, and they have tard written. And he's like, ooh, we're going to have to change this. We might get some people that aren't going to approve of this. And I was like, ooh, yeah, probably will be. So, but it's, and that's this thing. I wouldn't even think about it. Like me, when I scrolled through it and I seen it, I knew what they were talking about, but parents going to see that and just lose their shit over it. So,
and if I wanted to, there's probably 3 or 4 instances a day where I could, you know, point stuff out, either stuff that I see online or in conversations with people or over here in the stores. And, you know, it's like, relax.
Well, I mean, I see it every day with my students, but.
Oh yeah. So I want to bring this to I think we may have talked about this on a previous episode, but the idea of like civil war in the United States. Growing up, you probably feel the same way. You never thought we would have. I never thought there would be a chance there'd be a civil war in the United States.
Mm-mm.
But over the last 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like, that it's almost like it feels like it's building.
You could feel it. Yep.
To this point where we may not be able to turn back.
Shannon's been saying it for the last couple months. She's like, we need to start prepping. And I'm like, oh, why is there a hurricane coming? She's like, she goes, no, I feel like there's going to be a civil war coming soon. She goes, we're going to have to start getting stuff and getting ready. And I'm like, so you saying we need guns? Is that what you're saying? She's like, well, no, I'm talking like food and like preparations like that. I was like, oh, I'm like, so, well, I'm like, probably guns too. So,
yeah, because it kind of started with, well, just when the media was picking Hillary to win.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like unquestionable to the media that she was going to win.
Yep.
And I knew just the way I felt and other people I had talked to, how they felt, that Donald Trump had a lot better chance to win than people in the media and Democrats overall thought.
Yeah.
And when he did, they lost their shit. And so the whole 4 years of his presidency was sort of that antagonistic building.
Mm-hmm.
And just, it really became a decisive point of Democrat and Republican.
Oh, yeah.
And then, to cap that all off, I knew before it happened that the riot at the Capitol building on January 6th was going to happen, because I knew, I could just tell it was happening. Because I even said to Jill like a few days before, I'm like, oh, I'm off on the 6th, because I want to watch that, because I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then just, since then with, the Biden presidency and now, especially with the midterm elections coming up and how nasty they've gotten.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, it's like people have lost their common sense. Like,
it's funny because, yes, I mean, I could remember probably the first, like the Clinton first time going in. I mean, I kind of remember a little bit about like with George Sr., and Reagan, but not as much because I was younger then. My first actual voting for president was for during Clinton's term, his first term, I believe it was. But back then you didn't, was it the second term? You didn't really think about, I mean, it was still, you still had your Democrats, Republicans, but it wasn't like it is now. Like you said, it has become so two-sided, and it's been like, I mean, it's worse now than I think it's ever been since we've been alive, where it's just, like but it's funny is, it's like you have your Democrat, but then you seem to have like two separate Republican groups. You got those kooky ones that are all like the MAGA, I guess you want to say, or whatever, and then you got like the other ones that are still like the old school Republicans from back like when Clinton and Sr. and Reagan were all running and stuff like that. So it's so weird, like, and it's, I don't know, but it's becoming that whole, it's almost like, where the pot is you could see it starting to boil, and it's gonna just boil over soon.
Yeah, I think that's true for both parties. Like you said, there is a MAGA contingent of the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's the majority of the Republican Party, though.
No,
I think that's the fringe. Likewise, you have the Bernie Sanders AOCs of the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't think they're all like that. And that was sort of, I think people who maybe voted for Joe Biden thought they were voting for that moderate Democrat.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I don't think he's done a good job as president at all, but I don't think he's done anything to kind of, what's the word, assuage
Yes.
people's feelings, that we're worried about, the extreme left taking over.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at like history and you look at the Civil War, it was, difference in politics combined with this social issue.
Yeah.
Right. So you had, North versus South. It was really a battle of lifestyle and economies. And then you throw in civil rights, in essence, slavery.
Yep.
And now we have, the economy is tanking. So that's putting pressure on both parties. And then we have a number of social issues still, dealing with, Black people, Black Lives Matter. Now you're throwing in, Democrats especially are trying, well, even Republicans, they're trying to make abortion a like top of item list for the election. And then, you're just kind of, like you said, putting it all in the pot and it's starting to boil over. And it is, you keep thinking, if you told me when I was 12, there'll be another civil war in your lifetime.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, get the out of here. No, like, no way. Crazy. And now if you told me there'll be a civil war in 6 months, I'd be like, okay, thanks for the warning.
I can see it. Yeah. Start boarding up.
So I don't know. So, and I don't know.
It's like, to me, I still don't understand. Like, I mean, there's so much other stuff going on in this United States that we need to fix. And abortion is not one. I mean, it should have been. I mean, I don't know why it's always a constant topic for every election. Like, it's serious. I'm like, listen, we had that. I don't know why we overturned it. It should have stayed. Who cares? It's start working on something else. We have so many homeless people in this country that we can't take care of. We're taking care of other countries' business when we don't need to be involved in any of that stuff over there. It's just, to me, it's just, okay, well, what do these people want to hear? How are the old people still out there that still believe in slavery and abortion? Let's keep talking about that stuff, and let's just keep pulling on those tags until they completely fall off. But it's just, I don't know. That's you're making a good point. That's what it feels like.
Because again, people will argue, well, abortion is really just a women's issue. It has nothing to do with men. People will make that argument.
Yeah.
And so I don't agree with that, because whatever. Know. So, but like, especially men over 45 with, women or girlfriends over 40, most likely abortion is not going to be something we have to deal with.
Yeah.
So I think it eliminates a lot of the population because it's not going to affect them.
Yeah.
Real personally, like the economy does, like paying $4.99 for, a gallon of gas when I was paying, $2 something, 2 years ago.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, I know you're frozen, so I'm just going to keep talking, but I'm probably frozen on your end. But yeah, we need to work on
better.
All right.
Now,
there you go.
Okay. So infrastructure.
Yes.
Like, I'd love to drive and not run over potholes, or have speed train from Scranton to New York so I can go see a show at Madison Square Garden and be back in 2 hours.
We just talked about that on our way to Orlando.
Right, or travel to Indianapolis on a speed train and be there in 4 hours to go see my sister so I can leave at 8 o'clock in the morning and be there for lunchtime.
Yeah.
Like other countries have this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's all the countries.
We're fighting over,
stupid stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Now, I think abortion is I think it's a human rights issue, and I may be on the other end of what other people think of it. And I think there's a moral issue too. I think it is important, but it's not going to affect the majority of people.
Yeah. So my
directly.
My thing with abortion is this: yes, there should be there should be certain times that you need to do an abortion. Like, so rape victims, you don't want those children. I mean, I know. Oh well, you could then put them up for adoption, but they're getting that DNA from that person, and I mean they've said where there's those serial killer DNAs out there, stuff like that.
Well, I don't want to get into a debate about abortion.
I know, but then my thing is that, and then like certain other things. Like I don't think a 32-year-old girl who just doesn't want to have a kid could just go in and just get one done. There's got to be a specific reason why it is to be done. So
you are a proponent of there being some limits on abortion.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because
and Gary, I think probably 90% of the U.S. population would agree with you.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
If we did some sort of law that limited abortions, okay, I think the majority of the Americans would be fine with it. Move on. Let's build a super speedway
and be done with it. Yeah.
Let's build a train system.
Let's be like Europe, where you could travel you can go from Germany to Italy in less than a day. I'm like, where I can't even get up to Pennsylvania to see people without having to either take a
right. But in the meantime, we're going to spend millions and millions of dollars to fund a campaign for a ex-football player who most likely has some sort of traumatic brain injury, right? And we're going to spend millions and millions of dollars on TV ads trying to convince people that Dr. Oz is malicious enough to kill dogs, and he gets his rocks off killing dogs. Come on.
It's ridiculous. I know.
It's like, what are we doing? All right.
That's why I said I'm glad I don't have cable anymore, because that was the thing. Like when you were trying to watch TV, and that's every 2 seconds, those stupid ads.
I can't wait for the elections to be over, because that's all you.
Oh, yeah. That's all
you hear on TV.
Now until then, that's all you see. It's ridiculous. It's so stupid. They spend all that money. You could be putting that money towards something else. So, but nope. Let's spend millions of dollars on stupid ads talking about one person.
All right. Well, let's lighten up the mood here. It's time for Gary's News of the Weird with your host, Gary McDaniel.
Yes, sir.
Gary, before you get started with News of the Weird,
yes,
I saw an article online this past week.
Okay.
There was a guy.
Can't even get it out.
He had the state of Florida tattooed on his forehead. Oh, he just had like a black outline of Florida tattooed like just over the bridge of his nose.
Why?
And he, of course, was the Florida man in the Florida Man
well, of
Arrested
course, yeah.
piece. And I'm like, oh my God. So
Oh,
funny.
and people are crackheads.
All right.
All right, so are you a mosquito magnet? It could be your smell.
Mm.
So this comes out of New York.
Oh.
A new study finds that some people really are mosquito magnets, and it probably has to do with the way they smell. The researchers found that people who are most attractive to mosquitoes produce a lot of certain chemicals on their skin that are tied to smell. And bad news for mosquito magnets. The bloodsuckers stay loyal to their favorites over time. If you have high levels of this stuff on your skin, you're going to be the one at the picnic getting all the bites, said study author Leslie Vachal, a neurobiologist at Rockefeller University in New York. There's a lot of folklore about who gets bitten more, but many claims aren't backed up with strong evidence, said Vachal. To put mosquito magnetism to the test, the researchers designed an experiment pitting people's scents against each other, explained study author Marie Ellen de Obladia. Their findings were published Tuesday in the journal Cell. They asked 64 volunteers from the university and nearby to wear nylon stockings around their forearms to pick up their skin smells. The stockings were put in separate traps at the end of the long tube. Then dozens of mosquitoes were released. They would basically swarm to the most attractive subjects. It became very obvious right away. Scientists held a round-robin tournament and ended up with a striking gap. The biggest mosquito magnet was around 100 times more attractive to the mosquitoes than the last place finisher. The experiments used the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads disease like yellow fever, Zika, and dengue. Rochelle said she'd expect similar results from other kinds, but would need more research to confirm. By testing the same people over multiple years, the study showed that these big differences stick around, said Matt DeGennaro, a neurologist at Florida International University, who was not involved with the research. Mosquito magnets seem to remain mosquito magnets. Out of the favorites, the researchers found a common factor. Mosquito magnets had high levels of certain acids on their skin. These greasy molecules are part of the skin's natural moisturizing layer, and people produce them in different amounts. The healthy bacteria that live on the skin eat up these acids and produce part of our skin's odor profile.
So did they give you any information? Like,
No,
there's no ethnicity or skin color or
no, it didn't say. It just
diet.
said that there was just people with that certain amount of acids that are in the skin. See, now it's funny is I seem to I get bit up a lot, but it's always down by my ankles. So I just assumed it was all just the blood, going down, rushing to my, like when you're standing up and stuff. But I don't know. But I might be.
So you need to wear pants.
That's something I do with some, like especially when I'm over at the in-laws. For some reason over there, it because they're not
the West Palm mosquitoes.
So I just get hammered with mosquito bites when I leave that place.
It does seem like certain people get bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if you're out, like in the backyard, like people be like, someone will be like swatting mosquitoes, and you're like, oh, I'm fine.
Yeah, you're just standing there.
So it's good to know that there's a reason for that.
Mm-hmm. And then the last story tonight is California baker creates life-sized Han Solo out of bread.
Is it the frozen Han Solo?
It is. And I'll show you a picture after I read the story. So Han Solo may be a hunk, but Han Solo is a hunk of bread. That's what a bakery in San Francisco Bay Area has dubbed its 6-foot, 1.8 meter bread sculpture of the Star Wars character as he appeared after being frozen in carbonite in The Empire Strikes Back. Pervane and her mother, Catherine, co-owners of One House Bakery in Benicia, California, spent weeks molding, baking, and assembling the life-size sculpture using wood and 2 types of dough, including a type of yeastless dough with a higher sugar content that will last longer. The 2 worked at night after the day's business was done. The lovingly crafted details show Han Solo's anguished face and his hands straining to reach out. Hennelly said she might have gotten a bit obsessed. Mom made me leave it because I was obsessing over the lips. Hennelly told the New York Times. She was like, you need to walk away. Creating Pan Solo was particularly meaningful. She told the paper because she contracted COVID-19 in January of 21 and lost much of her senses of smell and taste. So just to find joy in a different part of food is really important, she said. The sculpture is now on display outside of the bakery located about a half-hour's drive north of San Francisco. And let me do this.
So it sounds like that daughter almost became part of the dough side.
Exactly. She was on the dough side. There it is.
Wow.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job at it. Well, yeah, so that whole thing's made out of bread.
Very neat. So when I was a kid, Gary, I was a big Star Wars fan.
Mhm.
And I had I think it's Boba Fett's like ship where they put the carbon frozen Han Solo into to take him.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I got that probably for Christmas one year. And then they loaded it, and then it came with the frozen Han Solo.
Okay. I remember that. Yep.
And I was fascinated by that.
Uh-huh.
And I think as a kid, you don't even realize that the movies are real. Like, they're not real. So I remember, like, after seeing Empire Strikes Back, like, it'd be the middle of the summer, and I'm thinking, like, wow, Han Solo is still frozen. Like, it was so real to me.
Yeah.
And then, like, Return of the Jedi, they unfreeze him.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was like real. Like, he had just been unfrozen. Like, but he had been frozen for all these years.
Frozen for that amount of time. Yep.
Yeah, and and I liked Han Solo. He was my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I lose the frozen Han Solo.
That sucks.
And I remember, like, looking up and down all over my house for it.
Yeah.
Not being able to find it. And, like, crying at the bottom of my basement steps for, like, my mother to come help me find it.
Yeah.
And she refused to help me. And then when we moved, so this was like years later, like I was 12 then.
Yeah.
When we moved, thinking maybe when we're moving, I'll find it.
You'll find it. Yep.
Never found it. And it's that, like, one toy that I lost that I still think about when I'm, 46 years old.
Yep. Exactly. Well, you always have that one thing.
Pan Solo.
Pan Solo. So yes, so that, my friends, is News of the Weird. Yes.
All right. So, Gary, since we weren't going to have a guest on tonight, I was trying to think of something, and although we've been on for over an hour, but we'll ask you. I figured, what could we talk about? I didn't realize we would talk so much about what we already talked about, which is fine. But there's websites that have, like, questions to ask each other to kind of learn to know each other more intimately.
Okay.
And there was one I wanted to ask you.
All right.
But I'm trying to look for it here.
I'm ready.
Oh, let me ask you this. What's the most daring thing you've ever done?
Can't really. I mean, can't really talk about like skinny dipping because I mean that was my own school. So really,
That's the second week we've talked about skinny
yeah,
dipping.
that's not really that daring.
We have to make the Brian Lennon Show skinny dipping team
Skinny dipping, yeah.
T-shirts.
Daring thing. I mean, I've done it in the car once or twice, like in a parking lot. So that was kind of
Daring.
yeah. That was kind of
Daring do.
yeah. Trying to think if there was anything else. Yeah, I'm kind of boring. I don't really do a whole lot of daring things. That's probably about the most daring thing I've ever done.
The most daring thing I think I've probably done. We went up to like it's up in I don't even know what county it's in. It's where Marie Antoinette. There was, I guess, this plot of land like northwest of Scranton.
Okay.
Might be like Susquehanna County or like further west from there. I don't know if it's like Tioga or something. But there was like this plot of land that they were going to bring Marie Antoinette and her people over when the French Revolution was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a little lookout of the land. And I drove by it years ago when I was officiating football because we were doing a game out in like Troy or something.
Yeah.
And during the pandemic, when everything was on lockdown and you couldn't do anything, the one day we just said, like, let's go for a ride. I was like, I'm going to go check that place out. So we drove. It's over an hour in the car. So we end up like going on this. We find it like on GPS, and I end up. There's this like path road, and I think it says like road closed or do not enter or something. And Jill's like, just go in and see. Mm-hmm. So we go in, and the road is very narrow.
Okay.
This is like early spring. Very narrow. And it's starting to like decline.
Okay.
So you're like way up and it like drops right off.
Oh, geez. Okay.
And there's no guardrail or anything. And we go, must have been over a half mile on this road.
Yeah.
And then it comes to like a complete stop.
Oh.
So I'm thinking, now I have to back up.
Oh, yeah, reverse that whole road.
And there was like very little room to do like a 3-point turn or even like. So I told Jill, I said, take the two younger kids and go walk up the hill.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to try and back up. And I think that's like the closest I ever came. I felt like to dying or like going down this embankment to whatever would have happened to me.
Oh, hell no.
And I finally came to like a point where there was like a little break in the rock on the side that I could actually like, but I was just like probably like an inch at a time. It was like Austin Powers.
Yeah.
Just turning the car around and.
Oh my God.
So I've promised myself like never to go down a road that says like road closed or anything.
Yeah.
I learned my lesson. Like, don't mess with that.
Oh. Yep. Nope.
Mm-mm. So I'm not going to keep us on much longer. One other question.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about this. I know my answer.
Yeah, what do you got for me?
Well, it says, what's the most loving thing I've done for you?
What's the most loving thing?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, sure.
So do you remember when I broke down in Pine Grove?
I do.
And I think that was like the second or third time I'd broken down that day with that car. And it was going to be like days before the car was fixed. And Pine Grove is about, an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes?
Yeah, I'd say, that sounds about right.
And I called your house, talked to your mother, and she's like, oh, he's up in, because I needed to we were going like up to the St. Lawrence River for Memorial Day, I think it was. And I was coming from Virginia, and I was broken down in Pine Grove. And I called your mother, or called your house.
Yeah.
And your mother was like, "Oh, they're up in Carbondale at a party." And then you got in touch, and you left the party and drove all the way down to Pine Grove to pick my ass up.
I did. I know. Yeah, I remember that one. What's funny is what that just came up. Me and Sharon were talking about something, and she mentioned that the one day. I don't know what we were talking about. That's funny that yeah.
And every time, like, not that I go by there often, but every time I see that Pine Grove or on a map, I'm like, oh, dude.
That is funny. Yeah, I do recall that day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man, I don't know. I'm stumped. I mean, besides you allowing me to join in on your podcasts here all the time. I mean, I know you guys will always be there anyway. So if I ever needed anything,
yeah.
So I mean, same with you and all that. So, but yeah. Well,
Pine Grove.
Good show. And
then what did the crowd think of it?
That's what I was
the audience.
I was just about to.
Did you guys enjoy the show tonight? All right. Good.
Thank you.
Well,
appreciate it.
Well, good news is we'll be back next Wednesday for another show.
Yes.
When we were driving down to Virginia another time when Jill was, I think we had both kids. We stopped at that Pine Grove at that McDonald's.
Okay.
And her and Joey both got sick in the parking lot, like puking their guts out. That place is nothing but trouble. Pine Grove. Avoid it at all costs.
Never go there again. Ever again.
Oh. All right, well, that's going to do it for tonight's episode of The Brian Lennon Show. Thank you, as always, to my co-host and producer, Gary McDaniel. Join us next Wednesday for another episode on Substack. Also, check us out again on YouTube, Spotify. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, rate us, give us stars, all that good stuff. And we will see you next week.
Peace out.